Okay, drug industry. By the way, it's not the first time when we analyze this industry. We analyzed it a few times already. Last time we analyzed it, it was August 2019. And I believe that company which we analyzed that time now is about maybe 40% higher. So if you invested into that company, so you would be probably about 40%, maybe even more in profit. So which is kind of good, right? So despite all these falls during this year, but the company grew quite a lot. Now, the drug industry is focused on research and production of pharmaceutical and diagnostic products that help treat and prevent human diseases, like it's obvious. Now, what we need to know about this particular industry. So first of all, it takes up to 15 years to develop and approve the drug. At the moment, those drugs which we are going to see against coronavirus, they kind of they approved in a faster pace. Okay, that's why a lot of businesses, they want to jump in that because they don't have to spend so much money as usually companies spend in order to bring the certain product to the market. Okay, now it requires in average, can you imagine, in average 1.3 1.7 billion dollars to do that. Now, and the interesting thing that there is no guarantee at all that at the end, so at the last particular moment, when they've done all these studies, when they've done all these clinical studies, and then all these, would say, experiments with people, real people, that FDA will approve it. Okay, no guarantee at all. They might get refusal, and whatever they invested in this drug, it's going to be busted completely. Okay, and also you need to know that majority of patents in different countries, it could be different duration, but a lot of patents, they have a limit in times as well. So if you spend, for example, $1 billion or even $2 billion in order to develop certain drug, and then you have certain amount of years in order to cover that expense, because let's say in 12 years time, the government will tell you that's it. So it's a generic drug and now everyone can produce it. So it's like you're losing this right of the single producer of this specific drug. Now, again, in different countries, there are different rules. Sometimes you can extend it for longer period, 25 years or more, but generally it is expired period. So you have to know, so if out of 3 drugs which you kind of invested in development, you spend, let's say, $6 billion, and then only 2 of them were approved, you have to know that within next period of time, you not only have to cover the loss for this, like all expense for this particular 2 drugs, but also for the one which wasn't approved. Okay, so which is very important. So I presume you understand, if you are looking at the company which is working with one specific drug, it can be really risky, because if that company doesn't get this approval, and they don't have any other drug to support them financially, what happens with this company? It goes into liquidation very quickly. Okay, so you have to be aware of that. And that's why I never put money in a company which has only 1 or 2 drugs only, because it can hurt them a lot. Now, that's how it's usually works with the drug industry. So basic research, it's like laboratory, right? So the guy's sitting with mice and do some kind of stuff there, right? And then slowly and slowly, it takes quite a lot. And you can see the spends here, $5,000, right? And then $250,000, and then it's growing more and more and more, right? And so you can see that different phases, there are volunteers, people who volunteer to do that. And in total, like each period, like up to 15 years, I'm saying that it can be like developing. Now, what we are looking for in businesses generally in this industry, so if you decided to invest in that, you don't have to jump and invest in a company which promising you, for example, a treatment from something, from, let's say, cancer or some kind of lymphoma, or maybe like coronavirus, right? But what we see, it actually happens because there were a few jumps for the last 7 months when some company will come up and tell, oh, we are developing this drug and we're going to release it soon. Instantly, the price of that company might move up about 20% within single night. Okay, that's how it works. But the next thing, they kind of, because they don't introduce it, this price to the market, what happens with the price? It collapses back again to the same level or even lower. Okay, very interesting example is Guild Scientific. I think it jumped to $80+ and now it's sliding down below around $60. So it's from $80. It jumped from 67, I think, to 85 maybe, and then it's now back again to $61. Now remember, promises, they move the price on the moment of the promise, but then people still want to see the delivery of your promise. Now, because we know that to develop new drug, it's quite expensive. So we need to see that company has certain volume. It's big company, at least $5 billion. Okay, at least. Even $5 billion is quite small company for this industry. But if they have this capitalization and they're able to attract the investors, so basically they can continue that particular research and maybe be bought by other bigger companies. But small companies which are starting in some kind of institutions, and they're telling that invest in me, and they're still working with mice, you understand that for them, like millions and millions of dollars in the future to spend, and even if you put like $1 million or $2 million, it won't save them. Okay, so you have to understand how much money in general you require in order to bring the product to the market. Now, of course, it's much better if there is no no debt or low level. It's perfect situation when it happens like that. Of course, not always possible to find the companies like that, but it's ideal. And then also we see positive cash flow, availability of cash for 12, 18 months. Also can come with a similar type of product, and as a result, the sales of one specific product will fall as well. And you need, before you do something, you need to survive for several months, and it's always good when you have cash and you have no debt. Okay, this is a kind of very important part. Now, another important parameter is variety of product range. Now, and the better line when the diseases are such where people have no choice, they have to pay. It means like, even if the crisis, even if economy is bad and everything is like in ruins, if person has a cancer, they will sell anything, everything, absolutely everything, and they will go and pay for this treatment, right? So if they have life-threatening disease, it's not already a kind of a matter of do this treatment or not. It's like people still going to spend money for that. All right. So that's why if you invest into companies in that particular field, you kind of know if there is a certain demand for those products, most likely is going to stay regardless what's happening with the economy. So that's why I choose drug industry personally for this period of time. First of all, because I know even if economy is going to collapse next year when the government remove their support, these particular companies, they will sustain their business. It's first thing. But secondly, because we know the biggest problem right now is the coronavirus. It's like related to medical problem. So I presume medical businesses, like, I mean, drug industry in general, they will get much more support from government in order for them to deliver all these treatments. Okay, that's why those diseases, if you see that company kind of develops drugs for them, it's much better. Now, another important part is robust pipeline. So if you see the company which has maybe 5 or 6 drugs and they're sold in numerous quantities and the company is making a lot of money, but then you can see there is nothing in pipeline. And you understand that, for example, 6 years from now, some of these 6 drugs, they're going to lose their patents and they become generic, and everyone will be able to produce something like that and sell it, and profitability straight away will shrink. Now the question is what the company is going to produce in the future. And if you don't see anything in pipeline that company is developing to prepare themselves to the future time, it's quite dangerous as well. So be careful if you invest in those businesses. So probably it's short trades, and don't put money for long term. Okay. And then even if you have this robust pipeline, it's much better when you see that the company has something already very close to FDA approval. So when they get government telling, okay, now you can sell this drug. So because it's always boosts their profitability quite a lot. And of course, absent of legal issues with government, competitors, insurance companies, and patents. And remember, this particular industry is very tricky because it kind of produces a product which can heal or can kill. Okay, and I presume you understand that they have to watch every step which they make, legally. Okay, because if they make any mistakes, they can be destroyed by lawsuits.